Hey everybody, Tom here with Hidden Beats, and today we are talking to Angelica. How are you today?
Great. How are you?
Pretty good. It's been a nice, it's warm day here today, so that's never a bad thing.
Yeah, you can't complain with that.
I mean, I'm a pale redhead, so I do burn in the sun, which that does suck for me a little bit, but
You got to get your SPF on. Come on now.
oh,
Everyone's got to have their sunscreen.
I've got 2 bottles just sitting at my front door, basically waiting for me just in case. So for those who are new to you, do you want to give a little kind of intro about you and your music and what you do in this world?
Yeah. So, hello. My name is Angelica, and I'm a singer, songwriter, producer, mainly focusing in the more like experimental hip hop realm, if you'll say, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're very multifaceted. So I guess the first place to start is how did you where does your interest in music come from?
It really just started from when I was really little. I've been making music since I was 11. So I started mainly doing like piano lessons and opera lessons at that age. And I feel like that's kind of what really like pushed me more towards creating music. I started just like writing music with the piano, and then I started self-teaching myself guitar when I was around like 12. And from there, I just kind of just like literally snowfalled into continuously making music. And then I got into computer music programs, and it was just over from there.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
remember the first time I jumped into Fruity Loops and started playing around with stuff. That was fun for me, and I'm
Right?
definitely not a musician by any means. So when I was having fun in there, I was like, man, this is something.
Oh man. Don't say that though. Anybody can be a musician, seriously, especially now in this day and age with all the programs that's out there. Anybody can make music.
Oh, for sure. I just don't think I have the patience for it right now. Just sitting down and learning some of these things with everything else on the go. That would be my downside.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you got a
Hmm.
lot to juggle, then that's
Yeah.
understandable.
So where do your musical inspirations come from? Did you look to certain artists and things like that when you were growing up?
Good question. So growing up, it was very like wide range. Like I used to listen to a lot of like Sarah Brightman, and then also like Evanescence and like System of a Down. So I was like all over the place when it came to my music. And like obviously like Beyonce, Destiny's Child, like I
Hmm.
was all over the place. So I feel like I definitely drew from each genre. Like I took what I liked from each genre, and I guess I just like try to like every time I make a beat, I do try to infuse as many genres as possible because I feel like why not, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah.
So you come from Toronto, and that has to be probably one of the most diverse music scenes in Canada. How is it navigating that right now?
The music industry in Toronto. Wow. Yeah, I mean it's blooming over here and I love it. I think I'm in like like now is just one of the most special times for the music industry in Toronto because there's just so many new artists that are like really doing their thing and really killing it. And especially because it's like I feel like a lot of producers and artists in Toronto are like they're finally getting recognized outside of Canada
Hmm.
with the help of other artists like Drake, of course. But I just feel like that definitely helps the industry in Toronto as a whole just grow and expand and be able to put on more events and stuff for the more emerging artists.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice to see like I'm based in Ottawa, so we're not too far away. So I get to experience, the little bits of stuff on the outskirts of Toronto, but I've not really I look at the Toronto music scene and go like, whoa, that's a whole nother monster to try to get into if I was to jump into there.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the thing. There's also so many talented artists in Ottawa that I know. And like for instance, like City Fidelia, like super talented, and they're doing their own thing. And I feel like Ottawa is definitely coming up too, for sure, when it comes to the music industry. You guys are
Yeah,
slowly putting little building blocks for events and stuff, which is awesome.
yeah, it's definitely like things like House of Paint that have been really good for showcasing newer artists, things like that, and local artists. That's been a big thing. And like I try to get covering a lot of these events that have the local artists, just because you guys coming up need more showcasing than others, really.
Yeah, seriously.
Hmm. So you have a track coming up. I was reading the Gravy, I think it was called
Yeah.
in my list.
Oh, I do. It's called Gravy. I wrote
Mhm.
it, I produced it, and I'm singing it. And I'm going to be releasing it right before Thanksgiving because obviously I want it to be a festive track considering it's called Gravy.
Mhm.
And yeah, I like to tell stories when it comes to my beats. So I feel like I should just let the music video speak for itself, really.
Well, that kind of rolls into my next kind of question was, what's your process when you are putting together a track?
That's so good of a question because I feel like I definitely do the same thing every time I make a beat. Like I said, like I like to story tell. So I usually will start with the creation of this, like the beat itself. And then once I finish making the beat as a whole, then the feeling that I get and like the emotions I get or I draw from the beat is exactly kind of like I get basically little visions of what I would basically want the music video to be. And then from the visions of the music video, then I start writing around the song.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm very like visual when it comes to creating my music because I always am keeping into account of the music video and how the music video will tell the story of the song.
So is your end game when you're putting together a track, like the ideal situation is it comes out with the music video and has production value behind it that way? Like that's what you're looking for?
Yes.
Okay, that's I haven't experienced that. So I talk to musicians a lot, but not as many producers. So the background side of that's always interesting to me.
Yeah, it really is. It's like you can't really go wrong when it comes to just figuring out your own process. Everybody has a different process. And when I've been co-producing with other people, it's really cool to see what they do first, like what is their inspiration, how they draw their inspiration into the song. It's really cool.
Has there been situations when you're working with somebody where, you don't have to name names or anything, obviously, but that you just hate the way they work and you don't want to put whatever they're doing into something?
That really hasn't been a problem for me yet, thankfully. I mean, like, there's obviously been some times with certain co-writing sessions where you feel like, oh, maybe there could be a different idea that could be created for that track. But in reality, I think that's kind of what you have to do when it comes to collaborating. You kind of just have to like find a balance and know when to fight for things and when not to fight for things.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always been curious about how that works in the music world of, you got two people writing something and then how do you mesh those sometimes if you guys just don't see eye to eye on something?
Right. Sometimes it's just like simple rock, paper, scissors. Or just like, like if that doesn't work out, then, you just like find things and just, it's really just about compromising at the end of it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it makes sense for sure because everyone has thoughts, and this, if you can figure out a way to get around that, you can probably come up with something really interesting.
Yeah. No, seriously.
So you've also the main reason we're actually here talking today is the Women in the Studio Accelerator program. That's where this is our second year getting to talk to people in the program. So
Oh,
how
cool.
is it being involved with that?
I am so, so lucky to be in this program. I'm so grateful for everything that I've learned so far when it comes to the workshops that they've provided and even like networking opportunities. I've been able to go to a lot of co-writing sessions and my first writing camp as well, which was super cool. So I definitely have had such a great time. I've networked with such amazing people, and the people behind it are just so great too. Like they're so informative. Anytime I have a question with anything, they're just like able to answer right away and give me like full disclosure on everything, which is great. So I'm actually super grateful to be in there.
So yeah, like I said, being the second year, it's awesome to see the showcasing that they're doing for the women in the studio and kind of bringing a light to something that's not exactly a forefront in music industry right now.
Mhm. Yeah.
So with that type of program, what do you think is the most important about showcasing women in music?
Well, the main fact of like the fact that there aren't that many female producers. And I think that definitely has to change, because even just with my own experiences in certain situations where it was mainly like male dominated in the studio and I'm like the only female producer there, and I want to like give my input on something, but I feel like either one, I feel like I'm not heard, or just like my opinion isn't valued. And it sucks because it's like a lot of the time, like there's been a couple times where I've been in the studio with people and like I recommend a certain thing and then they don't really like, they pretend to acknowledge it, they don't really do it, but then like maybe 2 3 hours later the artist itself is like suggesting the same thing that I suggested. So it's like, yeah, like little things like that are a little bit frustrating. That's why we
Have
need more food.
have you ever like put on the badass, attitude and been like, guys, listen, smarten the hell up and do this because it's going to work better this way?
No. No, I could totally go that route if I wanted to, but realistically speaking, because I am still an emerging artist, I do like to play it nice and cute for now.
Mhm.
I'll definitely become more bossy once I get my first Grammy.
There you go. Yeah, yeah. You have that little trophy in your hand, and they can't say much else, really. So what is your, I guess, what do you want to accomplish with your music?
My music, the main thing is just to tell stories. That's the biggest accomplishment. And to be able to get it out there for bigger audiences to relate to and to actually enjoy. Because
Hmm.
I think that's a huge thing missing in the music industry. I used to love when there were music videos that would tell stories and you actually looked forward to like watching much, because you could tell that there would be like a song or two that you would find and you would find it from the music video, you know?
Hmm. I think that music video kind of platform is so lacking right now, and everything looks so similar and just so boring almost in a way.
It's so true. And
Hmm.
it's like, it sucks because as an artist, like I understand, like music videos cost money, they're not the good ones anyways. Like you could totally do a $500 music video, but it's gonna look like everything else that's already out there. So yeah, it's like I totally get it. Like being able to tell a story and do it on a proper budget is totally difficult. But it's not impossible. It's still, you could still do it if you really wanted to. You just gotta figure out ways to navigate, I think.
Well, I think so. One of my partners in Hidden Beats just did a music video actually, and he did a full storytelling, like a proper production one on a budget, which was interesting. So I think it is possible for people, if you're looking for somebody maybe a little bit less expensive, willing to build their stuff, you could probably find some decent
Yeah,
stuff out there.
for sure. Yeah, that's so true.
Mhm.
I agree.
So what do you think it takes to be noticed in the music industry now with everything the way it's going? Like look at how much stuff has come out since COVID, and every artist out there, there's so many more things. What do you think it takes to stand out?
I think it takes a viral video on TikTok.
I mean, that
Nowadays,
definitely helps.
it's
Yeah.
more, yeah. But yeah, it's also about like consistency and actually having a certain niche. I think the artists that stick out nowadays are ones that are actually like genuinely unique and like genuinely have their own personalities that are relatable but also different and sets them apart from any other artist that's currently out there.
Yeah. I noticed personally with the amount of stuff coming out post COVID that you find it very hard to find something that stands out right now.
Oh yeah, because there's a lot of like I feel like with the pandemic, it definitely kind of drove a lot of people to just release a bunch of stuff. And as great as that was, it's like there was just so much more of an influx of like songs being released. So no one, it wasn't like, yeah, like it. I feel like there were so many great songs that came out and didn't get the credit that they deserved because it just wasn't pushed enough or wasn't put in the right, target audience.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, hopefully the way things are going, people will start to get a little bit more recognition, and live shows are back. So there's a lot more opportunities for people to get out there and that live performance, because that really, people miss that, and that really is a lot different than just hearing something streamed, for sure.
Oh yeah, seriously. So much, but like I can't tell you how many live performances I've gone to of like local artists in Toronto this year. And I just feel like everybody's just on their game on point because they've been practicing in their room for the last 2 years and now they're ready to go. And it's
Mhm.
so good. I'm so happy for just how things are getting back to normal and you can finally see people live again. So
Yeah,
it's so
and
relieving.
it's a huge thing right now. So we also cover festivals, like we did Ottawa Blues Fest, and I just got back a couple weeks ago from the Boots and Hearts Country Festival, and just seeing that stuff up front and right in your face now after like 3 years is like, damn, that's awesome.
It is. It's so great. And then just like the energy that the crowds give too, like it's almost so magical just to like witness this, the come like, the reopening of the world again.
Mhm. Is there any artists that you are like looking at coming up in Toronto that you think people should be looking out for?
Sorry, could you say that again?
Any up and coming artists in Toronto that you think people should be paying attention to?
Up and coming artists. Oh yeah, there are so many that I can think of. A few I can name, definitely Blue Will. She just released a track called Not Love that so amazing. Go check it out. It's on all streaming platforms. It's amazing. She's super great. And she's like, I look at her like the Mariah Carey of Toronto.
Okay.
Like she's got a yeah. Another artist that I say definitely check out. She's not really in Toronto, but
Technology sucks, so I can edit around that. That's fine.
okay, cool.
I've only got a little bit more left anyway, so we'll run through it. That way we don't have any more delays.
All right. Hopefully there's no more delays. I honestly I feel
I've
like the devil just sometimes.
I've honestly had some crazy ones where like I've had to completely replace a mic halfway through and stuff like that. So
Oh no.
mhm.
Well, you're adaptable. You know how you got this.
Yeah, I mean, I got enough stuff behind me I can manage. So I do have a couple of fun questions I do ask people. It gets a little bit more insight into who you are and kind of what things that you're into.
Mhm.
First one on my list is, what's something on your go-to playlist that you listen to people wouldn't expect you listen to?
Ooh, something on my go-to playlist would probably be, I feel like it would be like System of a Down for sure. A lot of
Yeah,
people don't expect me to be a System of a Down fan, but they're definitely one of my favorite bands since I was like young.
there I have a love hate with System of a Down. I like some songs, but then some I really don't, and I can't wrap my head around it.
Hey, that's the thing. They're not for everybody, but they're just like they just speak so much. And it's also like I love how like political like they stand for their people. They're also like very like melodical when it comes to their songs. Like I love how the lead singer, he's the way he sings is very like just it's almost like a lullaby to me.
Well, that's what attracts me to it actually too, is some of those aspects and some of the songs. Like, man, he did amazing on that. But then there's another song where I'm like, oh, I just don't know what to do with that one.
Yeah. I feel like I know exactly which songs you're thinking about.
Probably, yeah. I look at I look like I should listen to things like that more, but my guilty pleasure stuff is like, I know super bass word for word and I can rock that the whole way through. Nicki Minaj, I could do things like that, no problem.
Yes, you're too
Hmm.
funny. Would have never taken you for a super bass fan.
Oh, that's when I want that energy, that little bit of a vibe, I'll throw that on and just and rock with it for sure.
Dope. I'm for it. I'm for it.
Mhm. So next question I have for you is what's one thing that you think should be asked more in an interview that's not asked enough?
Ooh. Hmm.
Not necessarily about you, but it's something that maybe you want to hear more from artists that people are when they're interviewing that they don't get asked enough.
I always am really curious to know. I feel like a lot of the interviews I've seen with artists, they aren't really asked like properly the exact steps they took in order to achieve how they got to where they are. Like I feel like a lot of people just like skim, like briefly skim over things, but they never really give you any real gems. As like,
Mhm.
like see, like, you could go use this company or something. Like there's never any name droppings of other companies that they work with in order to get themselves there. So I feel like, yeah, it's like just more gems from artists, really.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. And then now that I think about it, you're really right on that. I don't hear a lot of that type of stuff either when I'm watching or interviewing people.
Yeah.
Although I suck at interview questions. I try to come up with the best ones I can and see what I can do. But
You're pretty good though. You're pretty good. Every question I was like, yeah, it's a good question.
well, thank you. I appreciate that. Another one I have is what is a piece of advice you were given when you were coming up in music that you've held on tightly to that really kind of struck a chord with you?
I guess one of the biggest pieces of advice is just people telling me that I got to get it out the mud. And I feel like that's definitely a big one for me because I am a singer, songwriter, and producer, and I engineer myself. I feel like, yeah, like I gotta, it's a lot of work, but it's just about staying consistent and like, continuously pushing myself to like grow and get to the next level of things. That's really it. Yeah.
Hmm. Is that something that you would tell other people coming up, or would you add something else to that now?
I wouldn't tell people that, no, because I feel like it is a very vague thing to tell people. And for me, I had to do a lot of like soul searching and figuring out what that meant for myself. But I think I would just tell you to simply, flat out, plain and simple, keep being consistent at what you do and never give up on yourself because I think that's really what it is. And yeah, it's just push harder every time, every day.
Mhm. They always say that 10,000 hours makes you a pro at something, so keep pushing for that type of thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
10,000 hours is just the beginning too. So you always have to remind that. People
Yeah.
look at 10,000 like once I'm done the 10,000 hours, I'm done, but no.
Yeah, that's
That's not
true
it.
too, actually. I wouldn't even have really thought about that myself.
Yeah.
Now, the final one I have for you is why music? Why do you do what you do and why do you fire what motivates you?
Ooh, such a good question. I feel like that's such a big question because it's like, why music? I don't know. I think music chose me. I don't really have an answer for that because it's just something I've always known that I was going to do since I was a kid is make music. And I feel like I can't think of any other thing that I would be doing other than making music. I mean, like, yeah, like even as a kid, like I used to dance a lot and everything in my life literally revolved around music. So yeah, I don't know. Music chose me. I
Honestly,
didn't.
I hear that when you have somebody who's truly in music for music, that's the answer I hear. That's what I expect from someone who's truly dedicated to their music.
Oh yeah. Well, so that was a test.
Well, I mean, you never know. I'm always interested to hear other people's motivations. I know, like for me, I'm motivated to tell people stories. So, I'm a photographer first, and then I started doing interviews during COVID. But my goal is to kind of showcase and tell someone else's story, whether video or picture, whatever I do.
Mhm.
So
That's so
from
cool too.
and for me, I honestly didn't know I was going to do that. I picked up a camera to help someone out early on, and then just kind of hey, this is
Mhm.
cool. I can keep doing this.
That's sick. I mean, it's all acts of service in the end, you just gotta give back, give out to the world, and you'll hopefully receive something back.
And that's Hidden Beat's primary thing, is to try to enrich the community in a sense. And like, we dropped a clothing line for that. We did a whole bunch of other things with our team here. So
Sick.
that's actually where
Awesome.
this hat comes from. So I'm Indigenous, and
Oh,
I,
cool.
with sales of all the clothing that we have, we donate to charities for Indigenous music and things like that.
That's amazing.
hmm
For that, definitely gonna check out your brand after this interview.
I haven't put a lot into it. I'm been a little busy because we're moving soon, and so this last couple months has been lackluster, but it's there and it's doing its thing.
Cool. Okay, well, I'm definitely checking it out.
hmm Let me know what you think. Definitely send me some feedback. I'm available on all the socials, and it's always good to have feedback from people.
For sure. I believe I already followed you,
Okay,
but I'm
that's
gonna
cool. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, I have to look through my thing daily anyways. I got so many things going on, so I'll double check that to make sure I follow you too.
cool. Awesome. Well,
That's pretty
this
much
was
all I have written down here for you.
oh, okay. Well, this was so much fun. Thank you for having me.
No, it was a pleasure, and I love getting to learn a little bit more about you and about what you do. And like I said, we're here talking with the Accelerator program, so it's nice to get to see how artists are being showcased and learn a little bit more about that stuff.
Yes. And I just big thank you to everybody, including the Women in Studio program for this opportunity because it's so great.
And
Music
we're gonna,
publishers,
yeah,
yeah,
we're gonna link all those things in the description, because we want everybody to make sure they get opportunities like that also.
of course, of course. But yeah,
Well,
super great.
we'll sign off here, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll hopefully get to have another chat again sometime.
I hope so too. I hope you have a
I'm
great day.
I'm always available. So if you have things you want to throw at me, and we can see what we can figure out, I'm always around.
Oh yeah, my first show in Canada in Ottawa, you're definitely gonna be there for sure.
100%. You let me know. I'll bring a whole team out. We'll video. We'll do whatever.
Awesome. I'm excited.
All right.
All right.
Well, you have a good one.
You too. Take care.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.